Because Thieves book came about talking about how important the jam were to us and what it means. It was 240 solid pages of rare accounts, rare photos. We brought in fans as well as the people who work with the jam, like Dennis Monday and Bill Smith, the sleeve designer. What we did was get people's stories that you wouldn't normally hear.
Well, then of course the three members of the jam got bought. But there were people like Bill and Dennis and so forth that, although they were working with the band, they were fans of it as well, of the music. Yeah. So they weren't just talking dryly or business talk. If they're passionate about a subject, they can talk about it naturally. Yeah. And what you get when fans write about a book, they write about their experience, and what comes through that experience is what it means to them, the importance, the passion. We wanted that in the book, we wanted that to come through.
Listening to the John Peel show I'd heard in the city, I thought it's so different from the punk that he'd been playing. It's just mind blowing.
The front of In the City cover, you know, the black suits and the spray can logo. I was 10, 11 years old at the time. Just something hit me with them, you know. I just found I had a sort of bond with them.
This is the Modern War by the Jam. Before I'd even played it, it was just a sleeve. It just seemed it was saying something different, and especially the back sleeve where the bass player's in mid-air pose, leaping through the air, and you think, you know, what does this sound like? And then obviously put it on, and it was just something else.
I pulled out all my cons and I played it, and it was like, you know, Jesus Christ, this is something amazing. I was still a kid, I was still into like things like Crackerjack, you know, Peter Glaze and Action Man and stuff like that. And it just sort of formed a bond with me. You know, I got the sleeve notes, read them again.
First saw the Jam, I think I must have been 16. So the Red Cow in Hammersmith, I can still remember it. It was absolutely, it was electric. As we went in, paid our money, John was on the door, his dad. He was giving out these badges. The Jam live at the Red Cow. I think I've still got it. Sad but true. But it was an amazing gig, and it was packed out. It was hot, sweaty. The energy was amazing.
I mean, Thursday night was always, wherever you was, you always went back to the top of Pops around that sort of time. Anyway, you always went back, make sure you got back for that. Davey Watts, I always remember massive seeing that one the first times.
It was top of Pops. It was that polka dot shirt and that Rickenbacker guitar. As soon as I saw that, it all changed. Everything changed.
I remember the minute I got into the Jam where we were sitting in the car and Town Called Malice come on the radio, and we were just about to pull up to my house. So I said, hold on a minute, Dad, I want to listen to this. And he said, oh, we've got the box set indoors. So he gave me the box set, and from then on it just became an obsession. Like, I'd listen to every single track.
About 5 or 6 first heard him, because it was just always playing. And my dad said to my mum, how does she know all the words? It's like, it's just played through my life, really.
When you're young, it might not be the best single, but to me it just means so much. Like, just the lyrics in it, you know, life is a drink, you get drunk when you're young. Sort of makes, it appeals to me. Like, I'm at an age where, you know, that really identifies with me.
I got by in time, I think the lyrics are brilliant to that. At the time you didn't really know what they were about as an 11-year-old, but as you get older, you read into the lyrics more. And you know, that's what life is about, you know, meet a girl, fall in love with her, think that's it, and you know, you beat your best friend, you've got so many ideas, and then nothing, you know, you turn a corner and everything changes in your life.
I can remember being at a party, going back to that time when I was just sort of leaving school when they put on Going Underground at a party. And it was like that moment in Quadrophenia when they put on My Generation and everyone just went ballistic, kind of out of the blue, to that song. And that was kind of one of the points when I thought, wow, this band's got something going for them, you know what I mean? Because the whole party just erupted and everyone was jumping around, throwing beer around.
I Need You, I decided there and then, best love song I was ever going to hear in my life. And Life from a Window, I decided there and then was my funeral song, which it's still going to be.
Oh, sound effects without a doubt. Just love it. It's really unique. I think it's a uniquely British psychedelic record. It's got that dense kind of sound. I think it's just a masterpiece from start to finish.
Man in the Corner shop sound effects. It's like Ellis Lowry. I mean, you can see the little man going on a little shot, and a little painting here, whatever it was.
I think that really is a picturesque song, very Beatlish, but the lyrics, you know, Genesis, the man in the corner shop, it's just, you know, it speaks about inequality but also envy at the same time. So that to me was one of the most political records that the Jam done, and that definitely did shape me, you know. Should be the manifesto actually, what the Labour Party should use now.
Eating rifles. I mean, who consider that taking on a load of Etonians and being beaten by them, just like we are now?
punk was really interesting, a lot of ideas in that, but I just thought there's more to music than 3 chords and not being able to express a vocal range. As Paul Weller just completely blew away that idea.
There was the energy, the passion, the lyrics and the fashion element, and it wasn't restricted by punk, you know, so it sort of went on beyond punk.
Their songs were kind of more thought out, because I played guitar, I was into chords, etc., and the chord structuring, middle eights, endings, the intros, there was more thought behind it, I thought.
Yeah, they weren't just thrashing around on the guitar and just making a noise, was
They weren't the Damned.
No.
Even though the Damned were good.
Weller seemed to go out of his way to antagonise the sort of what Dave Cairns would call the punk elite, because we burning, sniffing glue on stage as he did, and then the quote which got him in trouble when he said he was going to vote Tory, which was, he never did, but he just, that was just a joke to wind up the Clash, I think, when they were supporting the Clash at the time. But he seemed to consciously go out of his way to maintain that separateness.
There was definitely a connection with it being a more working class take, and that was very much a counter to and a parallel to sort of what, you know, the accusations of, say, the Clash being art school kids and the rest of it, and you know, but even so, you know, members of the Clash were definitely working class, you know, but it was that's where a sort of split came, and therefore I think a lot of kind of, especially like football kids, got drawn to the Jam because of that, you know, that it much more was, you know, they were one of us, sort of, or they were us, so to speak.
They were right on that cusp of not quite punk, not quite new wave. That's why I think, as a band, you know, they sit outside almost both those genres, almost in a genre of their own.
The big turning point that, as we say, me and sort of my little crowd, was that we went to see the Jam supporting the Clash at the Rainbow, because we met at Liverpool Street, and there used to be a little street market outside the police station, and we lifted these mohair jumpers, and we thought, oh, they're all right, you know, sort of almost punk wear. And we've got up the Rainbow, and the Jam had done a blistering set, and I remember this like moment, really revelation, turning there and going, this is it, this is where we go mod full time. And I mean, literally ripped these jumpers off that we were, threw them down, and that's it. And it was like, and I don't know when that was, sort of autumn '77, something like that. But I mean, you know, I think there'd been sort of people with mod sensibilities going to see the Jam before that, and obviously attracted to sort of the way that they dressed, you know.
Although there had been mods around since '76 in little individual pockets, and even as late as '78, they didn't realise each other existed. And so by the time we had the Great British Music Festival, I think the Jam played end of November at the Wembley Arena. They were headlining on the first night. That's the first time all those different mods who were consciously calling themselves mods, like Toni Morrison, like Grant Fleming, Oxton Tom, people like that. That's the first time they realised there was more than just them.
That pilgrimage thing was, yeah, I made the flyer up, and I was surprised how many people actually came along, because I thought it would just be, you know, maybe the same sort of crowd that was going to see football matches and going to see England abroad, and, you know, kind of already travelling. But no, it was a good crowd turned out.
The important thing about Paris more than anything is it was where it really started to crystallise as a movement, the old mod thing.
Now, mini japes, not really that much that's repeatable here, to be quite honest. I think, you know, I don't know, it's a long time ago, but I think you still get nicked for some of it.
The first album cover were very much, I want to make it look like it's a toilet in a tube station, and you just run down the tube station, you've escaped for somewhere, and you've literally just all sat down, and just before you sat down, put our tag on here. Very grainy, very gritty, like a newspaper idea. And then of course on the back, you know, well, we'll just smash it up a little bit. This is a band that actually means business, so let's make them look like they mean business. The idea was to try and do an urban landscape. This was shot underneath the Westway. I tried to do it in a postmodernist sort of way. You know, for instance, Paul came with just a white jumper, but wanted to put arrows on it so that it sort of looked something a bit whoish. So we did all that sort of stuff, and it's shot in daylight, but using a flash photography, etc. So that it just got a sort of quite an urban, sort of gritty sort of feel to it.
Because they had a bit of a crisis, the Jam. The second album got attacked in a few places, Enemy I'm pretty sure, and it was then they had the problem in America with the American tour that didn't quite work, and they came back and they'd been writing for the third album, and they ditched quite a few of the songs. They said the songs were too samey, too boring.
They delivered what everybody thought was the third album, and they were rejected. They didn't take too kindly to the way Polydor treated them. I mean, it was pretty hellish. I had meetings with the boys and John, and I remember driving home one night and I thought, I really don't want this job. It wasn't me, it was just the shit that was going down with the company.
Well, his back was up against this wall, his songwriting had dried up, and Polydor were about to write him off. Somewhere, somehow, after all this, he started writing the best songs he'd ever done. Things like Mr. Clean, Down Stoops at Midnight, Billy Hunt, In the Crowd. All this stuff went on at All Mod Cons.
And when he came up with All Mod Cons, you'd look at it and you think, well, he's got 3 singles on. So initially, but when you played the album, it was so good, and you could hear the maturity. He was actually the song structures, the lyrics were great, and of course, when you opened it up and you had the Vesper on the inner sleeve and you had the Scar album, that's what really kick-started that whole mod revival. As I called it, the mod renewal.
All Mod Con, that is just when the Jam started to really take off. After that came out, it just went crazy. They got a real hardcore following.
Even after All Mod Cons, I mean, the company went off the boil. I mean, that was, as far as the company were concerned, that was it. I remember my boss actually told me, he said, when the punk ship sinks, it's going down with all that. The company's gone, the old bums have gone. And punk was imploding. So they just thought, like Sham 69, like all the other bands, they would disappear. I mean, I never really believed that, because All Mod Cons is such a good album. In every aspect, the great songs, the whole thing. I mean, he came of age. He went from being like a teenager with talent to being a teenager with real talent.
Even though all of us all love Mod Cons, Polydor still weren't convinced. The turning point was when Eaton Rifles suddenly gave the Jam their first top 10 hit. Polydor suddenly realised they had something special on their hands and said, if we put a bit of clout behind their next single, we could have ourselves number 1.
The first number 1 was special. I remember when I was told, I leapt in the air. Unfortunately, I was inside the door and I went on the Jam, and I'm walking around like, ugh.
And realising that, they had become the biggest band in the world was just, I was with them.
You'd seen them, you'd talked about them at school, you'd read about them, and suddenly they're on the TV, they've got an album out, they're number 1. Amazing.
Well aware in the apron when they performed Going Underground on Top Pops.
And when you had the pinny thing back the front. Yeah, Wayne's.
No, who knows? Paul's Paul. I mean, he does whatever he wants to do. He does something and then regrets it, which he did.
I think I even asked my mum to buy me an apron, and I think she realised I was losing the plot at that age, because I actually wanted to wear one at the youth club.
You still have to look well turned out. It's a state of mind that got you into.
Being working class, you appreciate nice clothes. All the punk idea of like ripped up t-shirts, shit jeans and Converse trainers just really wasn't for me. I appreciated the nice polo shirts, the straights, suit jackets, the silk scarves, the smart shoes.
I've taken that album sleeve into many hairdressers. Not yet got the light blue stay press though.
None of them stupid jam shoes, all daft colours up, and you'd be like, yeah, I like the band, but I'm not going that far, you know what I mean? You walk around Manchester with them on, you get slapped.
And I used to badger my mum for a pair of these shoes, Badger. Jam badgers, yeah.
Yeah, I had the bowling shoes, the Jam Stay shoe that had the white stripe up the front and looked like a pair of trainers but shoes.
Boating blazer. It was hard to get them in that size as well because I was so small, but there was a little place just off Carnaby Street that you could get one.
Yeah, I had to get myself off and get one of those little black and white mini dresses. Got in big shit one particular winter when my mum and dad gave me money to go and get my school coat. I think they were expecting me to go down C&A and get like a nice little grey flannel affair. But I had to go to Carnaby Street and get a red denim jacket like Paul Weller.
We tried to mimic it as best we could, yeah, with a cheap old polyester blazer. And
the black and white and black polka dot shirt, that to me was always quite stylish. I've been button down, I'm still wearing button downs now. That entire mod ethos that you learn about by following that band, and also obviously specifically Weller.
I suddenly started seeing kids older than me or kids my age walking about with Parkers on, the Jam on it, and you felt like, Jesus Christ, this is some revolution.
going to see them and seeing other people at the gigs was a huge part for me. You turn up outside and there would just be loads of people that you knew. Things like that, that was massive. I'd say that was one of the biggest parts for me, seeing people, even if you didn't know everybody, just recognising faces that you knew. It felt like a family event in that respect.
Nervous all day, it was like going to the cup final really, and completely distracted, nothing else. And I was fortunate, I was still very young, I was just a teenager, I was just 13, and I was fortunate to have older people around that kind of took to us and thought, you know, take them with you, and it was mind-blowing to be 13 and see that really.
Getting into that gig, and I've never known an atmosphere like it. And I was only a little chap then anyway, and he just said to, one of the old boys said to me, pretend to faint. So I thought, what's all that about? So I pretended to faint, and next one right at the front. And I mean right at the front, where they would shake his head and the sweat would smack me in the face as well. So.
His neck was like that, and it was just like, fuck me, this is something else. The energy.
There was trouble with the sound, and he got angry. He tended to play better, and I always remember if there were some problems and they played it in rifles, it always seemed to be the best.
It was just as soon as we walked in there, it just hairs on your back came up, and you thought, this is special. And we clambered over all the seats, managed to get to the front, and it was just one of them nights where you just didn't want time to stop.
I spent nearly all a week's wages on a ticket from a tout to sit in the Poxy East balcony and then spent the whole gig thinking, can I jump down there or not? I made my way to the front, nearly had my ribs crushed, and the bouncers were trying to pull me over because they could see I was in trouble, but I wasn't having it.
The Stewarts didn't stand a chance that night. You know, everyone just ripped it up.
Then you realise how big it was and how much it meant to everybody else. Just when you went then to them gigs, the overwhelming atmosphere, it felt so energised.
Just the way they were with the fans as well. I think that was a real big thing as well. You really felt that connection.
They always wanted to give something back to their fans. They weren't just about making the money, or obviously they made a nice couple of quid, but the jam were all about interacting with us kids.
Feeling that you were kind of mates with them as well, which exists to this day.
Once I started to know about sound checks, I used to go along if I could, and then they nearly always used to let us in, and they were just fantastic like that. So then sometimes you speak to them afterwards, sometimes to get something signed. I just thought they were just really accessible.
Sound checks was a bit of a story. I bunked off school to go up the Rainbow in '79. I was at school with a few jam fans themselves, and obviously being about 11, 12, I was a bit too young to go to the concert itself, but nothing was going to stop me going to the sound check. So it was straight to school, straight out the gate, home again, changing the best clothes I had, and on the train up to Finsbury Park. And as a jam, people would tell the jam were fabulous for letting their fans into the sound checks and having a chat with the crowd, Paul, Rick and Bruce and even John.
We used to get in the sound checks, 30, 40 kids waiting outside. And John had let you in, and Kenny weren't so keen, but how did you get in? He just sort of nodded, winked at John, and he let all right then. If John said it was all right, then it was all right.
John Weller was the fourth member.
Well, I think without John Weller, there wouldn't have been the jam. He's the one that got in the van and drove them up and down the country in the back of a transit. I think with John getting them into these gigs, pushing the management of these bars and nightclubs and so forth, I don't think the jam would have made it.
John sounded like Mike Reid to me. He had the same sort of voice, type of swagger to him, and the way he spoke.
I've never heard anyone diss John. Everyone's got positive words about Mike.
I remember where I was in Gale's newsagents in Addiston, and the Enemy was just a disciple of the Enemy because his interviews were always great, and there was the headline, the Jam Split Shock, and then you opened up for that statement that we all know so well. And I was literally welling up. I had tears in my eyes. I thought, this is the end. This is it. What are we going to do now? It's all over. Because it felt like our band. It was like defining the soundtrack in the youth, and you just thought, well, what's left? What else is out there? Duran Duran. It's not going to happen. And I felt like it was all over. I was really, I was cut up, gutted. But quickly, I must admit, I did see what he meant. That clarion call and that wake-up call spoke to me as well. The Dig the New Breed thing.
You could see Paul was moving away. And he told me at the time, and I'll never forget it in Polydor Studios, that we were talking about, I'm not sure what, but he said, I don't want the jam to become like the Hood. I want us to go out at the top, not just go around doing our greatest hits.
I was gutted because they're my favourite band. They seem to be doing so well, or they were doing well. But then I thought to myself, I think of so many people who carried on, bands I've liked over the years, who've carried on, and maybe when they should have stopped. And I thought to actually stop at this time was such a brave decision.
It wasn't a tear thing, it was just one of them, you're just scratching your head, just thinking, why? Why? It was all about why. Why had they broken up? Why? They're at the top of their game. They had so much more to give, a lot more to give. And we all wanted another album out of them. It should have happened.
It was becoming so big that it didn't become naff, or it was just on the borderline of becoming a bit naff, so it was better that they split before it became some huge kind of super group.
The way Jam we're getting better all the time, I wish they had stayed together for at least one more album.
Disbelief really, you know. It sounds silly talking about it now, but you know, it was like the world had come to an end. It was, what am I going to do now? This has been my life for 5 years, and you know, it's everything was based, you know, around the Jam.
And that's what I really think that I took from it. It's just the honesty from it, really, and the integrity.
I'm a suburb boy, and what they made me do is go into London, get on the train, go into London, see London, take it all in, walk around the streets, walk around the West End. I was 12 years old, but I just wanted to go into the West End and just see it, take it all in. That's what they made me do, and I'll love them for that forever.
You know, if you don't want to read Wilfred Owen, then listen to Little Boy Soldiers when you're 16. And you can dance to it.
To show that it's about young people and it's about music just doesn't have to be something you out your computer screen. It can sort of, you know, it can make you feel things, it can make you do things, it can make you dress in a certain way, which is exactly what the Jam done to me.
Being a graffiti artist, the Jam were about, you know, rebelling against society, but at the same time not being something too obtuse for people not to handle. I mean, what we do is we're essentially painting trains. We're making the mundane beautiful. When I heard someone describe Weller like that, I was like, that's exactly what we're doing with spray cans. That's exactly what we want to do. We want to brighten up people's lives. We're not here to smash windows in. We just want to rebel against mundane society. But that's not necessarily making something that makes people upset. We just want to make something beautiful, leave a lovely little mark, and then just go about day-to-day life. You know, I think a lot of graffiti writers I've known have identified with the Jam. I know Score TRC for a fact says his favourite song of all time is English Rose. Drax is a huge fan as well. You know, for giving you that fuel for going out on a bombing mission as well. The early Jam stuff in the city, non-stop dancing, it's just fuel for when you're out, a couple of pints with your mates, spray cans in tow. Robert's your mother's brother.
The Jam totally inspired an entire movement, fanzine writers, poets, loads of them.
The good thing about the Jam is that gave you that inspiration. I can do what I want to do, and that's why I'm doing my website now, Zone It. And that is like, it wouldn't have existed without that sort of passion that the Jam gave me.
The things I'm doing now, I always go back to them days, because when I come out of school, no qualifications, didn't, you know, hated school. Well, I'll always be thankful being taught how to read and write, that's about it. Hated it. So, you know, the rest of the world that was out there, the sort of creative world, the sort of that world of theatre and film, they had no idea about it. Because really, when I grew up in a council estate, it was football, music, and clothing. That was it. You didn't. That was a small little world you was in, and you was in that sort of group of maybe 15, 20 guys, and that's all you did. So to find out about museums and stuff like that, was, you know, it wasn't the sort of thing we did. But I think by reading the interviews that Weller did, and you know, some of the references you got out of that, it opened up a different world, and I think that's why the things I'm doing now. I'll still always give that a name check and nod back to them days.
The noise that they three geezers made went from dark to shade, but it was always positive.
I felt that they stood for the things that I believed in.
The greatest thing on Six Legs.
Powerful, loud, British.
Wonderful.
The best fucking band in the world.
Best fucking band in the world.
The best fucking band in the world.
Power of youth.
Just pure brilliance and poetic. You can't even describe it. You have to listen.